you can see there that we've got the highest level of overall student satisfaction amongst Victorian universities. That's the Australian state where we're located. Highest level of student satisfaction now for 11 years in a row, which is just a really terrific indicator of how much we try to care about students and make them feel welcome and like they're getting a great experience when they're with us. And yeah, like I said, at the centre of everything we do. So just to give you a rough idea, we have around 68,000 students, if you include our research students. So amongst the Australian universities, we're one of the larger ones, and around 20 to 23% of our students are international. We've got a really nice nationality mix, so around 1/3 from India, around 1/4 from China, and then a really nice diverse range of students from the rest of the world. So you can see there Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Pakistan, but those are much smaller cohorts, and in fact all of our rest of world international students come from altogether 136 different countries. So a really terrific balance, I think, and wonderful diversity to our campuses with so many students from so many different countries, as well as researchers and staff, of course, too. We have it mentions our campuses there, but there's a little map in one of the slides further down, so I'll go into more detail there. But basically, we're based in Melbourne, which you may have heard of, which is the capital city in the state of Victoria, and 2 campuses in Geelong. Now, if you've heard of the Great Ocean Road, which is a very famous tourist drive along the southern coast of Australia, so Geelong is 1 hour out of Melbourne at the start of the Great Ocean Road. And then we have another campus at the other end of the Great Ocean Road. So it's very beautiful, very picturesque area of Australia. And we also have a very long history of delivering courses online in what we call our cloud campus. So our 68 or so thousand students are distributed across those campuses. That's just some examples of areas that we're well known for. I think in Hong Kong, it would be fair to say that we're best known for our health sciences, sport, food and nutrition, as well as we get quite a few students coming to us for business, business and commerce related studies, as well as a growing number in IT, and we have a lot of courses in the sort of area of analytics and big data. So that includes business analytics, it includes data science, it also includes niche emerging areas like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, where we're seeing growing industry demand investment by top Fortune 500 companies. And Deakin has been very much at the front line of offering programs in those areas. So, but yeah, that's just to give you an idea of some of the areas that we're well known for. We're also one of the biggest nursing schools in Australia, so we're well known for nursing too. Some of the standouts there, we are 3rd in the world for sports science, and the other 2 are large European providers. FIFA, one of them is FIFA affiliated, and we actually have very close partnerships with those as well. So we're very much at the front of sports science teaching and learning and research. Also very strongly ranked for education, nursing, that computer science and engineering that I was talking about, as well as accounting and finance. These are rankings from 2021. We've got 4 faculties, and as you've probably seen from the previous slides, a very broad range of courses available. That's some of the examples of key study areas, and so like many Australian universities and Hong Kong, very broad-based and courses across a wide range of disciplines and options. I'm not going to spend too much time speaking about each of the faculties. I wanted to show you some campus images. So that's from our Melbourne Burwood campus. It's our largest campus. Burwood is, if you've been to Melbourne or if you know Melbourne at all, there's a suburb called Box Hill, which is about 20 minutes out of the CBD. Most people know Box Hill because it's a very vibrant, very multicultural neighbourhood, lots of fantastic food and community events, multicultural community events, which are held at Box Hills. It's a very famous area of Melbourne. So Burwood is actually right next to Box Hill. So a lot of our students live in Box Hill and attend Burwood campus. And those are some examples of the facilities we've got out there. Melbourne, again, if you've been to Australia, you're probably familiar with Melbourne. Third most livable city in the world, very relatively safe and welcoming and very multicultural city in Australia. Very vibrant. I think it's the festival capital of Australia, and a lot of major sporting events are held there too. Yeah, we've got there's some information now about the Geelong campuses. Geelong is the location I was telling you about, which is just 1 hour out of Melbourne. It's classified as regional, but it's quite a nice balance because, like I say, it's regional, but it's only 1 hour out of Melbourne. So it's right close to beaches and beautiful sort of natural areas, but it's still a reasonably sized city of around, I think, around 250,000 people, I'm pretty sure. Second largest city in Victoria, and close enough that if you want to go up to Melbourne to see a Australian football AFL match or catch a show, then it's very, very accessible. We run a lot of our medicine as well as our sport and research in engineering research, like our Institute for Frontier Materials and our Carbon Nexus research centres, all out of our Geelong Warrnambool campus. That's a big campus. There's a lot of space there and a lot of really cool facilities. We've also got a campus on Geelong's beautiful waterfront. There's an image of it there, and that is taken from the top level of that's the view from the top level of our Geelong waterfront campus. It's a beautiful campus. It's our boutique Geelong campus, and out of that one, it's a bit smaller than Warrnambool, but a very lovely location. And that's where we have our built environment, so a lot of our architecture, construction management, as well as nursing, psychology, and undergraduate business, all out of Geelong waterfront. These courses are also offered in Burwood campus, so students often, depending what they want to study, will have a choice of which campus they want to study at. Just a bit more there about Geelong. And then Warrnambool. So Warrnambool is where we have some of our nursing programs at Warrnambool, as well as a specialist research facility called Water Marine Biology, and some of our teaching programs offered at Warrnambool. Warrnambool is probably from Melbourne about 3 hours drive. Like I said, it's at the end of the Great Ocean Road, an extremely picturesque and beautiful area of the country, and it's classified as remote regional. So for Australian government classification purposes, that means that there are various scholarships and incentives available to students to study in Warrnambool, because the government is incentivising participation in the regions by education and training providers and students. Our cloud campus has been going strong since there's been an internet. We've been developing online learning. So we do have a very long history in it, and that is why I think we were a little bit lucky when the current pandemic hit and we were all forced to go home and stay at home and leave the campus. We were in a position to transition to online learning quite quickly, and to be able to continue to offer students a very high quality experience. So our cloud campus is where we have many students, 20,000 at last count, who are choosing to study online, completely online. That may be because they're located somewhere else around the world. They may be working full time. So we've always had a remote and regional focus for accessibility to education. And it's also meant that due to the infrastructure and the platforms that we've had in place, we've been able to make the transition to temporarily for our campus-based students to transition to online learning as well while they've had to, and then, you know, continue to offer them not just the academic experience, but also excellent student support, engagement with peers and with lecturers and so forth, all online while it's been necessary. Now, students who are located in Australia are back on campus now, I'm very happy to say, although we have had a little hiccup the last couple of weeks with our Melbourne campus. Melbourne did go back into lockdown briefly. It was a circuit breaker lockdown. They're out of that now and campus activities are resuming. Meanwhile, students who are located outside of Australia, unfortunately, at the moment, the border's being closed. We can issue you with a confirmation of enrolment and you can obtain your student visa, and it's very important that you do that in order for the time to start recording on your student visa. But at this initial stage, we would offer you online in the first instance until you're able to come onto campus. We're calling it our online to on-campus program, or O2O is our abbreviation for it. And I will also add that any student who enrolls in our O2O program will receive a 25% bursary, or so fee reduction on their fees, for as long as it takes for them to be able to come back onto campus. So while you're stuck overseas studying at Deakin in the cloud, you'll receive a 25% remission on fees. There's information here, and I can circulate these slides afterwards, Gary, if you'd like to distribute. But look, as per most Australian universities, full range of accommodation options. We've got fantastic on-campus accommodation at all of our campuses, and international students are absolutely a part of our on-campus accommodation communities. And we've also got assistance with finding accommodation off-campus for students who want to share or find a share or individual rental situation off campus. For our English language students, we also have homestay options. Those are a really popular way for many students to start in Australia by living with a local family. Also great for English skills. Some fantastic scholarships, which there's a couple there which they're talking about, our Deakin Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship and our Deakin International Scholarship. But there's also, and the Destination Australia Scholarship through our Warrnambool campus. There's also a scholarship, a STEM scholarship for anyone who's studying anything in the STEM or built environment areas. STEM means science, technology, engineering and maths. So any of our science, engineering, IT, as well as built environment, which is architecture, construction management, those kinds of areas. Students will receive a 20% fee bursary if they have a previous average of 65% or more in their studies. And there are a number of other scholarships available too. So do check our scholarships website and have a look around there to see what scholarships you may be eligible for. There's a little summary there for estimated cost of living. Am I going okay for time, Gary? Should I? I've got another 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, great. Cost of living there, very happy to share more information about that for anyone who has sort of questions and concerns about that. Again, not relevant yet, but when you come back onto campus, obviously lots more conversations we can have about that. full range of student services, academic, social, health and safety related. And again, I will emphasize, if you're studying online, you have access to these too. So these services, you know, when you're on campus, there are offices that you can go to access these services anytime. But even then, a lot of our students choose to access them online. Our advisors, counsellors, peer mentoring programs all have online aspects which students can take advantage of. And many of our students who are on campus will access these online because of the convenience anyway. The other thing I wanted to draw out, and before I finish, was the Graduate Employment Office. Just wanted to emphasise how committed we are at Deakin to employability and, you know, career outcomes for our students. So the graduate employment team, they're known as Deakin Talent, and they're across the entire university, and all students have access to their services, which includes career counselling, employer networking, workshops towards building skills, resumes, interview skills, understanding the Australian employment workplace, regulatory, social, cultural, workforce expectations and so forth, specifically for our international students. So a very comprehensive range of career information services, because we want our Deakin students to feel like they're getting a great set of skills through their Deakin degree. They're getting great experience through our work integrated learning, which is built into nearly all of our degrees, where you get opportunities to work on real life projects or do an internship as part of your degree. Plus you have the career development and preparation delivered by Deakin Talent. So we aim to produce people who feel very confident going out into the workplace. They're familiar with the environment, and they have the confidence to put them the best selves forwards for future employers. How about I stop talking there, and we'll have the chance then to have some Q&A.
Yeah. Okay. I got a question actually from a student.
Yep.
The thing is that, I mean, he's been studying in the Open University of Hong Kong.
Yep.
And then for a few units anyway, of course, not the whole program, just a few units. So the question is that how Deakin will give him the exemption? Is it what are the procedure? I mean, that he need to, what documents, I mean, he need to provide in order to get the exemptions?
Yeah, great question. We get a lot of our students apply and seek exemptions. We call it recognition of prior learning. And the process is that when you lodge your application to Deakin, and Gary and the IASC team can absolutely help you with that, very, very familiar with the process. One thing that you would include in your documentation is your transcripts from your prior studies, and preferably some information about the subjects that you've done. So a lot of universities, the subject descriptions are online. So I imagine with Open University, I'm pretty sure that they've got a lot of information that we can access that way if we don't have a precedent. Or otherwise, you know, if you have course handbook type information that you can include in your application, by all means send that. Anyway, what happens is the application gets submitted, our admission team will look at it, they'll note that you'd like to seek recognition of prior learning. They'll check that they have all the information they need for that. If they don't worry, they'll come back to you and ask you for the information they need. So it's absolutely a two-way conversation. They won't just reject based on no information. They'll ask for the information. Then once that's all prepared, they'll send it to the faculty, and the faculty will have a look at it, and they will notify the admissions team how many subjects and which subjects they can grant exemptions for. So based on that, the admissions team is then able to issue the letter of offer with the recognition of prior learning already in there, and very clearly stating which subjects you're exempted from, and therefore what the remaining duration and cost of the course is going to be.
Yeah. Okay, Faye, we got another question from Andy. Is that will all the courses be delivered? I mean, online due to the virus? I mean, will all the courses be delivered online?
Yes. So, unfortunately, not all of our courses can be delivered online. The main exceptions are medicine and nursing, possibly teaching, and I will have to keep you updated about that. The difficulty with all those programs is the very high number of placement hours that they build into the course in order to meet registration requirements, you know, and regulatory approval for the course. So with very few exceptions of those, pretty much just those courses, other courses we are able to offer online. And like I was saying before, it's called online to on campus. So we're very much hoping that, you know, during the course of next year, borders will reopen and students will be able to start moving back to Australia on a large scale. We've got a couple of smaller projects, pilot projects in place at the moment with international students just starting to come back. So by middle of next year, we're very much anticipating that large, you know, students will be able to come back much more easily. So you would just do your first few subjects online. You can study part-time online if you want to when you're starting, or you can take a full-time load. Either is fine, depends what you're comfortable with. And then when you come back onto campus, you resume your full-time on-campus load with your student, you know, as per your student visa requirements.
Okay.
Is it hard to...
Yeah. It's hard to apply scholarship. I think.
Is it hard to apply for a scholarship?
Yeah.
Some scholarships are automatically considered. So, for example, that STEM scholarship I was talking about, you don't even need to apply. If you apply for the course and it's an eligible course, we will consider you for that. We've also got, I don't know if anyone here I'm not sure if you're undergraduate or postgraduate or what your areas of interest are, but for example, we've got a scholarship called the Health Global Leaders Scholarship, which is for nearly our entire suite of postgraduate health courses. So health promotion, health and human and population nutrition, public health, health and human services management, those kinds of, you know, courses for health practitioners who are seeking to advance in the health industry, which is a rapidly growing industry and unlikely to slow down anytime soon. So lots of demand. So with those courses comes the Health Global Leaders Scholarship, which is 20% off the fees. But the only requirement is that you're in your previous studies, you've got 65% or more, so a credit or more. Again, automatically assessed. So if you apply for one of those programs, they will assess you for that scholarship and they'll advise you in the letter of offer. There's a couple of scholarships, and actually the ones on the slide, the Deakin International Scholarship, the Deakin Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship, those ones are more around competition. They're based on rankings of academic merit. So those ones do require an application. And they are based on academic merit, as well as a bit of references and things like that. So those ones are more difficult, just in terms of the competition for limited places. But then we've got ones like those other ones, which are unlimited. As long as you meet the requirements, you will be automatically awarded.
Okay, for some scholarship, I mean, actually when they apply, and then they will be, I mean, included in the offer letter, but some of them, the student need to apply. Is it the case normally?
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right, Gary. So pretty much the Deakin International Scholarship, the Deakin Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship, and they're in our publications, or the information's on the scholarships page, very prominent. Anyway, in that scholarship information, there's the how to apply, and it is a separate form that you need to fill out basically, and also provide some more documentation.
And also I know that, I mean, there's a intake in October. Is it for some courses? I mean,
that's right. Yes, thank you. So one of the key advantages is that we've got an intake that starts actually at the very start of November. This year, it will be courses that are offered online. I should mention too, another course that we have that's very popular from our Hong Kong students is occupational therapy. And actually that's a really great one, because that's one of the few practical health courses that is actually offered for an online start if you wish to start in trimester 3 this year, so in November, or in February next year. We've got those 2 intakes coming up, and we can offer you an online start for those. So, but yeah, so we have a trimester 3 intake for many of our courses, and then another intake in February, and then another intake in July.
Okay.
So
what are the requirements for? Sorry. What are the requirements for the OT? I mean, in November. Talking about the DSC, are you looking for 20 or 21 or 19? Or I should know that automatically, shouldn't I? I want to say 18. Yes, should be 20 around there.
And we count all the DSE results. We don't just count top 5, we count all. So we should probably just double check in the entry information. But yeah, when you see our entry requirements, do bear in mind, please, that we do count all scores, not just top 5. So sometimes we might look like our entry requirements are up there, but it just depends on how many DSE subjects you've got and the results.
Okay. You just update me when you got the information. Okay. We're gonna end the SAMRA. But this is the last question is that would it be difficult to get a dormitory? I mean, I'll give you 2 minutes. I mean, sorry about that. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Very quick answer. At the moment, obviously not an option, but demand for the dormitory accommodation is quite high, because they are a fantastic experience and they run their own support and welfare and engagement programs too. So it's a great way to experience campus life, particularly at the beginning of your Deakin journey if you're new. So I would absolutely encourage you to apply for on-campus accommodation if you think you are interested, because demand is high, but also we have, in recent years, we've added hundreds of rooms. So there is a good chance that international students who apply, that a certain proportion of those rooms are reserved for our international students, because they want them to be very diverse, multicultural spaces. So I would encourage anyone who's interested to apply, because you have a good chance, yes.
Okay, so Faye, I mean, thank you very much for your time. And then we hope if anyone who are interested in going to Deakin University, if they got any questions, they can always come to IASC, and then if we know the answer, we'll advise them. If not, we'll come back to Deakin for the professional advice. So once again, Faye, okay, so thank you for your time. And then we keep in touch, and then we hope, I mean, student, the border we open, and the student from Hong Kong can actually physically arrive in Australia to start the program. Okay.
Absolutely, Gary. It's my absolute pleasure. And thank you so much to everyone for coming along today. And yes, absolutely echo what you're saying, Gary. We all hope that borders open very soon. The population is busy getting vaccinated right now, so I am optimistic about that. Okay. And yes, you're in very good hands with Gary and the team at IASC, and we'll just work closely together to answer any further questions you may have.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.